welcome back to my channel. Tonight I'm super excited because I am going to be making some risotto for dinner, and I haven't made this in a long time, and there's a ton of different ways to prepare it, or as far as what you put in it. It's one of my favorite things to make, and I'm just super excited. So plus I get to eat it after, so you know, really happy about that. Now, risotto is a rice dish, an Italian rice dish, and there are a few different types of rice that you can use for it. You can probably most commonly find Arborio rice, which is perfectly fine to use. The two other alternatives are Vialone and Nano, which is just another specialty rice. And the one that I found today that I'm going to be using is Carnaroli. I can't say that one. In English it would be Carnaroli rice, but in Italian it would be Carnaroli rice, which, excuse my accent, I'm working on it. But normally for any types of those rice, you'll find it in a box typically, and they do vacuum pack it, so it will seem like a brick when you first get it. And to go with this, I will be cooking some seafood towards the end, but I'm going to show you that part way because my cutting board is, you know, only has so much room. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I use. Okay, so this is going to have some different layers to it. I have some homemade chicken stock that I pulled out of the freezer. So whether you're using homemade or not, you do want to get your liquid in a separate small stock pot and heat it up and keep that on the side of the pan that you will be preparing your rice. I'm using about a cup of the rice, and then I've also got some white wine, and I'll be using parsley as well as lemon. My vegetables, I have one zucchini that I'm going to use. I have about a half of a fennel bulb, as well as a couple of shallots. They were kind of small, so I used two. If you have one large shallot, use that. If you don't have any shallot, you can use a sweet onion, or maybe just like a brown onion is fine. And I have only one clove of garlic. I don't want this to be garlic heavy. To finish it off, I will be using a pat of butter as well as some Parmesan cheese. And to top it, I'm going to make a little bit of a bruschetta topping, but I'm just going to be using garlic, Roma tomato, some balsamic vinegar, salt, and pepper. So I've gone ahead and started my broth on the stove, and that'll be ready for me. I went ahead and started to deseed my Roma tomato. So what I want to do, I'm going to chop this up kind of fine, and I'm basically going to let this marinate while I start on everything else. Okay, so to your chopped tomato, you're going to add your finely chopped garlic. I used a small-ish clove. Since it's raw, I don't want it, again, to just be like so garlicky, but I do want that flavor. So to this, I'm going to add some salt and pepper. This is to taste, so it's going to be up to you. And then my olive oil, I'm going to add some olive oil as well, and some balsamic vinegar. And again, this is just going to marinate while you're cooking the rest of the dish, and you're going to be using this as a topping, basically. So it's going to add flavor, it's going to add some visual interest as well. Go ahead and mix this really well, and then just mix it periodically during the time that it's sitting out on the counter. And it will be a really, really nice contrast. I am not adding any herbs to this because I will be adding herbs into the risotto. Now I am just going to be chopping the rest of my vegetables and getting them ready. A note on the fennel: if you don't have it, or you can't find it, or you don't like it, you can go ahead and use celery. That would be like a decent substitution. But you know, if you can find it, cooking fennel is actually, it's kind of nice. It mellows out, so it's not that strong of a flavor afterwards. But again, it's totally up to you. Okay, so once you have everything chopped and kind of at your side at the stove, heat up your pan. You're gonna put some olive oil in it, and I have my broth in the back. I also have a kettle full of hot water just in case if I need it, if this is not enough liquid. So to my olive oil, I'm going to add my shallot, my fennel, and I just cracked a garlic clove. I did not chop it. And I'm just going to stir this around. I do just want to soften up a bit, so I'm going to add a pinch of salt. This I will be seasoning throughout, so with salt and then at the end with some black pepper. If you wanted to chop the garlic, you can, but for this I don't feel it's necessary. And then after that has softened, I'm going to add my zucchini and also toss this around. If you need to add a little more olive oil, like this pan is kind of dry, actually it'll be fine because I'm going to be adding the lime in just a bit. And I do want another pinch of salt after I put the zucchini in. You basically want this to taste good because your rice is going in, so it'll absorb the flavors. And then once that's incorporated, I'm not going to wait for the zucchini to be cooked through because it's still going to be in here for like about 20 minutes. So I'm going to add my rice. And with this, you do want to stir this really well so that the rice gets coated with some of that olive oil in the vegetables. So once this has had a moment in the pan, take your wine, and I'm going to say about half a cup of Roma. And you're going to stir this gently. And just kind of let that soak in, and as that gets cooked down and starts to absorb into the rice, then you're going to start adding your chicken broth. If you didn't want to use wine, you don't have to. You can just start by adding, like a ladleful or two of the broth. However, I do feel that the wine adds a really great flavor, and as well, it has like a bit of that acidity that I like in my foods or my cooking. I just like a hint of that, and that's what the wine helps with. So as this starts to cook down, and if you're moving your spoon and you don't see as much liquid anymore, you do want to add your broth. And that's why I keep it right next to this dish, because it helps out a lot. The other thing is, you don't want to constantly stir. It is okay if it kind of sits and then just stir it every so often. I find that, the texture of the rice is a bit better this way, but someone else may have a different opinion on that. This is how I do it. So this whole process is going to take roughly 20 minutes. It's going to depend on the rice. As it gets closer to that time, you can go ahead and taste it, and you'll kind of see the rice, that it'll change color. So I would say maybe about 15 minutes in, you can go ahead and take a little spoon, taste it. If it's still a little crunchy, that means it's not done. So just be patient. Other reason why you want your liquid that you're adding to your pan to be hot is so that it doesn't drop the temperature of the pan. Then the cooking just gets kind of weird, but so I have my broth that is, you know, it was near a boil, and then I also have a pot of boiling water on the side just in case if I need it. I don't think I will, but if you're a little unsure as far as how much liquid you need, that can vary, so it's good to just have a little bit of water. So I'm cleaning some rather large shrimp, and I do want to let you know that if you haven't cleaned shrimp before, it is really easy. I got the one that's shell on, so I pulled off the shell, and then the outside of the curve, I'm just doing this on my hand, but it is safer if you do it on a cutting board. You're going to want to make an incision because you want to clean them. So, you know, like back here, you're going to run this under the faucet and pull out all, like, the digestive tract is basically what it is from the shrimp, and it doesn't taste really nice, so you do want to clean these. The other thing that I want to do with the shrimp, I actually want to butterfly them. So to do that, I'm just gonna lay it flat or on its side and basically go through lengthwise. So you're basically going to open it up. You don't want to cut it through all the way. Kind of want to leave where the handle is intact. But then when you cook them, they're, you know, they're actually going to look really nice. For my seafood, I do have some sea scallops, some jumbo shrimp, and I also have flounder, which I'm choosing to cook. This is a lot. This is going to definitely be left over for tomorrow as well. But very simply, I'm just putting salt and pepper on this, and I will be sauteing it in a pan with some olive oil. And I'll probably add a little wine to that as well, just so that it doesn't stick. So while my risotto is finishing up, I am starting to cook my fish. I'm putting the fish and the scallops in first because they will take a little bit longer. So I just have a little bit of olive oil, a touch of butter, and then I sliced up some lemon just to put in here, just for a little extra flavor. But otherwise, this part is going to be pretty simple. So to my rice, this is just about done. I went ahead and put my butter in. I'm adding some cracked black pepper. I also zested some lemon, and I'm going to add some parmesan. And this is what's going to make it kind of on the creamy side, and you always, or usually, finish with some cheese. So just go ahead and stir this around pretty gently. I'm going to put my heat to low and just stir to combine. And then the final thing would be to incorporate your parsley. And this is how I would plate it. I would put some rice, put an assortment of the seafood, and then just kind of put some tomato on top. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will have a recipe described down below. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.